Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Rush Racing League Division number 5 here at the Red Bull Ring. While Red Bull gives you wings, the Red Bull Ring gives you chaos and extreme racing. We saw that last night in Div 2 and Div 4. We saw some excellent battling, and we're going to see it again here in Division 5. Welcome back, everybody. My name is Patrick Coleman, aka Ruckus, and I will be your host and commentator for today's Grand Prix. It'll be just me this time around as H-Town was scheduled, but he is under the weather, so we wish him the best and speedy recovery. So hopefully he does get well. Drink plenty of fluids, get some water in your system, and your body will thank you. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into things here and get straight into our qualifying here on the day. So should be a lot of fun here tonight. It is full qualifying once again, so we're just going to go ahead and have our 3 stages of qualifying like we did here last night. So if you are in P16 to P19 at the end of this qualifying session, you will be eliminated. So you need to be in the top 15 to advance. So pretty much. So here's an interesting thing, right? If you guys remember from last night, or if you guys missed last night, well, we'll go to get you back up to speed. In Div 2, we had a very interesting situation because Q1 was dry, Q2 was wet, Q3 was dry, and then Q3 was wet again, or the actual race was wet. So it'll be interesting to see how the weather shenanigans play here. We do have we have a Haas going on track, almost at the lone Haas, but that is not true. We have both Haas's on track tonight. We are just one driver short of a full grid here tonight, as Kumar is going to go ahead and enter the track. Now, taking a look at the standings here in this division, Mercedes and Dutch Verstappen have been dominant here this season in Div 5. So the other teams and drivers are going to want to try to close that gap, at least try to take a little bit of a chunk out of the driver's standings. But after round 3 in Coda, it is a bit of a steep one here with almost 4 rounds to go. I think he's almost within range of claiming the championship pretty early on. Dutch Verstappen having 205 points to his name, with Greedo, the next closest driver, only on 139. So it's looking pretty likely here that Dutch Verstappen will claim the championship very early. How early remains to be seen. I think the earliest he might be able to clinch it might be Spain. I think Spain might be probably the track that if he wins this race through Spain, then he's gonna keep the championship clinched before we get to Canada. And then we look at the constructors, and the constructors isn't as cut and dry, but it's still a pretty heavy advantage in favor of Mercedes. 317 points to 258. Alpine and Ferrari are going to be 2 teams to watch here tonight. We do have 1 point separating the 2, with Alpine at 258 and Ferrari at 257. So we'll see who's going to be in second place come the end of the night in the Constructors Championship here in Division number 5. So we do have a few reserve drivers actually here tonight. We'll talk about that as Kumar goes ahead and completes his first flying lap. He will set the first time of the session of a 1:05.2. So a good benchmark time for Kumar. He'll be able to improve from there. Let's just go ahead and go through our reserves tonight, because I believe we do have quite a few. And I might mispronounce this, but T. Salmons is going to go ahead and be reserving for Red Bull here tonight. And then we have Jackal, who is reserving on behalf of McLaren. We'll go back to Salmons here as he's going to go ahead and continue his lap coming through what I like to call the bottle opener corners here at the Red Bull Ring. It's just the two sweeping left-handers just before you make the run all the way to the dreaded turns 9 and 10. So Jackal is reserving as well, and then also we have Liam, who we see pretty consistently in Div 6, as Salmons does set the provisional best time of the session with a 104.6. Paul and Hell has been upgraded to a reserve for this race as well, and I think actually both drivers here tonight are reserving for Aston Martin Drift HSK as well. Donut Gorilla also being a reserve. So those are reserves here tonight. So we will see how these drivers go ahead and get things rolling here. Not a lot of cars on track, so a lot of drivers waiting for some good opportunities here to go ahead and get started with the event. So we'll see how qualifying shapes up. Remember, you have to be in the top 15. So actually, we did get our 20th driver at some point. So we are going to go ahead and just continue on. So if you are below P15, you are out once this qualifying session is over. But we still got quite a ways away before we get to that point. So just kind of going ahead and continuing to just spectate the drivers here. Bender is going to go ahead and continue to try to improve on his lap time right now. Currently about a second and a half off of his time, or off of the provisional pole time set by T. Salmons here. Going deep into turn 3, and now he's going to make his run all the way to the end of the straight. DRS flap wide open here on the Visa Cash App Racing Bull. Coming down into turn number 4, getting ready for turns number 5 and 6. And he's going to go ahead and let the Red Bull on through. So not quite a fast lap. Jumping over to the Red Bull, and then we'll jump over to one of the cars who has yet to set a lap time, who is currently on an out lap. We'll probably jump on board with Dutch Verstappen. Salmons has invalidated this lap. So we'll head on board with our current championship leader of Dutch Verstappen, somebody who can clinch the championship potentially as early as next week in Australia. We'll just have to see how that one plays out. As Greedo is here tonight, I think Greedo would have to have a really strong result here to really keep the championship alive. But I mean, it's looking very likely that Dutch Verstappen is going to go ahead and wrap up this championship sooner rather than later, as he is going to go ahead and begin his flying lap here. Going to make his way down into turn number 3 using a good amount of the curbing. And he's going to go ahead and get a good run here. We'll see what his time is going to look like here. The benchmark to beat is a 104.6. And he's going to go ahead and come through sector 2 now, which is kind of oddly enough the most technical sector on the track. When you think of technical tracks, you don't usually think of the Red Bull Ring, but the Red Bull Ring is deceptive. It may have the least amount of corners on the Formula 1 calendar with only 10 corners, but these corners right here in turns 9 and 10 are just absolutely notorious for track limit pens and also getting just your time deleted. With that being said, Dutch Verstappen deletes anybody in between him and the provisional pole. It's a 104.4 for the current championship leader. Greedo is going to go ahead and just tuck in right behind. The Red Bulls having a pretty decent showing. We're going to go on board with a fellow Patrick. It's not myself driving, but a fellow Patrick here in the session in the Alpine. He's going to go ahead and make his way through. He's going to go ahead and push now, coming down the straight, coming down the second DRS zone on the circuit, going into turn 4. It'll be interesting to see who goes where, because we do have a handful of reserves here tonight. Drivers reserving up from Div 6. So it'll be curious to see where these drivers kind of slot in terms of the overall scale of this Division 5 lobby. Now, we do know that Nishka was actually a Div 6 driver for quite some time. And then during this last silly season, after Abu Dhabi, he did move himself up to Div 5 to fill in a slot for that Williams team. And Williams has been on a pretty good uptick in form right now, as Patrick sets a time of a 105.2. So a pretty decent time right now, about 8/10 off of the provisional pole time. Heading on board now with Jackal running the Chrome McLaren this time around. So once again, it'll be really interesting to see where these Div 6 drivers go ahead and settle in. Div 6 runs tomorrow, so this will be good practice for them. Get some good race pace, get some good racing data as well, because you can always kind of learn some things in the heat of an actual race and actually get some points for a higher division. Which can help in if you're looking to make a promotion into in the next div up. It'll be pretty helpful. There will be no more silly seasons this season. We were silly enough in our 2 silly season weeks that we had. So now we have Jackal coming across the line. A 104.4. Alright. The McLaren drivers are going ahead and doing some work here. Jackal is setting a time faster than the current championship leader. He is reserving here tonight for McLaren, so reserve driver getting some pretty decent times here just to kick things off, but we'll get the best lap times of the session right around the final 2 minutes, as NDNV is going to go ahead and come across the line now. And he is going to go ahead and jump up into 9th. So he is currently in 9th place at the moment here. Which, remember, as long as you are within the top 15, you are good to progress. And then we have 36 laps after the fact. Taking a look at Div 6, because we have quite a few drivers from Div 6 coming over here. Jackal does lead the championship by a pretty considerable margin as well, so seeing that he is up in the top echelons isn't super surprising, but he's got 233 points to MPJ with 159 in P2. So a promotion is pretty likely for Jackal. Unless something extreme happens, I don't believe he will be promoted this time, or this season. He'll probably be promoted at the beginning of next season. And then we have the 2 Aston Martin drivers going ahead and coming on through. Paul and Hell set a lap time only good enough for 17. So the Aston Martin team, there's going to be time on the table here. He's about almost a second and a half slower than the provisional pole time. His teammate of Drift HSK will jump up into P7 with a time only 2.3 tenths of a second back. So right now, Minmet is the only driver left to set a lap time here in the last few minutes of the session. Aardvark, the Alpine driver, is going to go ahead and continue on. He is currently in 3rd place, about 1/10 behind or 1/10 of a second behind the current Div 6 championship leader. So that's definitely going to spark some conversation that the Div 6 championship leader, in this current session anyway, it is only Q1 though, so as long as you get through, then that's pretty much going to be your top priority. But the Div 6 Elite championship leader is ahead of the Div 5 championship leader here at the moment, so we'll see if that remains that way right now. And actually Liam is also up into the top 10, so the reserve drivers are having a pretty good showing of things here. A pretty good showing of things here indeed. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this qualifying section goes. Racing Bulls is in a bit of a pickle at the moment. because he needs to go, or both of the Racing Bulls really need to just get some good lap times on the board. Because currently right now, and here's the crazy thing too, is currently right now, if you're not within a second of Jackal's time, you're out. You have to be about 8/10, almost, you ideally want to be like 7/10 out if you want to be at the bottom reaches, obviously the closer, or realistically, ideally trying to beat Jackal should be your aim, but if you want just a kind of a cutoff point, probably about 0.77 or 0.78 is probably going to be the cutoff time. Roughly, I think some of these drivers will improve. We'll say a 0.8 just to be a little bit generous. So Donut Gorilla is going to go ahead and go on through. He's going to come into the pits. Bender is going to go ahead and continue on. We'll see if he can go ahead and get a better lap in and try to go ahead and improve. Minma has yet to set a lap time at the moment. He's actually going to get kind of close. Luckily, the Red Bull Ring isn't that long of a track. It is only 10 corners, and the fastest lap time is a 1:04 at the moment. So we'll just have to see how it's going to go. And Bender is just struggling with this car coming through this final sector. He will not improve, so he really needs to get a move on if he wants to go ahead and try to improve out of this drop zone. So currently the two Haas's, the two Racing Bulls, and Paul and Hell right in the middle are the drivers currently in the drop zone. We have a few of them on outlaps here at the moment. The two Haas's are on outlaps here. We'll see if, and yeah, actually Bender has pretty much burned up all of his batteries, so he's gonna be in a bit of a pickle here. We'll jump on board with Daz. We'll jump on board with Daz as he's gonna go ahead and continue his lap. And then we'll jump on board with the cars currently trying to get out of the drop zone. Daz does improve to 12th, but I wouldn't say he's quite safe. Greedo is safe. I think Greedo is definitely in a very safe position. So a few drivers are still currently on laps, but we'll jump on board with the car who's currently in the drop zone. Donut has also retired. I think his time will be safe as well, as Kumar now is going to make his way through Sector 1. Jay Tuzi is retired as well, so that is the McLaren currently in P5. Bender gets a 5-place grid penalty for colliding with Flying Kiwi. Oh no, what happened there? That must have happened like in the pits, because that's a weird pen to have, but nevertheless, we're going to go ahead and continue to follow Kumar as he's going to go ahead. He is 2 seconds off of his time, so he's not quite improving. What about his teammate? Is his teammate making any kind of improvements here? It was at minimum a personal best in Sector 1, so he's already improving somewhat. There's a few drivers, and I mean, pretty much if you're Daz, NDNV, Flying Kiwi, or Patrick, you're kind of also like, if nothing changes, your times are safe, but things are likely going to change because Minman has yet to set a time, which Minman is currently on his lap right now. We'll jump on board after Symphonic's lap here. Kiwi is retired, so he might actually be in a bit of danger here. Symphonic is going to go ahead and continue to push on. He's going to come across the line. He will improve up to 8th, so it's pretty much now down to Paulin's out, Bender is out, so Kumar, Patrick, and Minmay are the drivers to kind of watch right now. Daz might also be in a bit of trouble. He might be safe, just barely, but we'll see. Minmay's going to go ahead and come through the last 2 corners. Oh, a bit of a snap there coming through 9. He's going to come across the line. Is it going to be good enough? Barely. He's on the cusp. Can Kumar go ahead and have a say? Kumar does improve, but not by enough. So Kumar, although he made it, just barely. So at the end of things here in Q1, we have lost Bender, who will He's right in the back, so his penalty won't really mean a whole lot. And then it is Paul and Hell, Patrick, Flying Kiwi, and Minmet eliminated here in Q1. So we have lost both the Racing Bulls, the Aston Martin of Paul, and the Alpine of Patrick, and then the Kick Sauber of Flying Kiwi. So some drivers getting through pretty much right on the cusp, but it's going to be very tricky coming into Q2, and a lot of the reserve drivers are doing pretty good. I think actually out of all that, I think only one reserve driver got eliminated. So reserve drivers having a very good night here in Div 5. And we will see, unlike Division 2 last night, or about 24 hours ago, it is a dry session in Q2. And so here we go. So while the drivers go to get ready for their first laps here in the session, Aardvark will be the first one to go ahead and pull out. How's your guys' day going so far? Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. And hopefully Rush Racing League will make your night at least a little bit better. As we are in Division 5. A few more divisions still left to run here on the week. We do have Div 6 tomorrow. And I actually believe that might actually be it in term. And I think Div 3 is also still yet to run. So Division 3 and Division 6 still left to run here this week. And then NAEU returns at Qatar this week, followed by F2. And F2 already has raced at this track, so, and they had a fun time. It was slippery because it was a very wet race. Kubitabot trying to establish himself as the tribal chief of Formula 2. As we take a look at the next race coming up in Abu Dhabi for F2. So once again, the next upcoming races we have Divisions 3 and Division 6 racing here at the Red Bull Ring coming on up. Division 6 will go ahead and race tomorrow. And then Div 3 will be racing they'll be racing on Wednesday. So that is pretty much our current schedule. So just to go to refresh you guys on our current schedule, and be sure to go to drop a follow if you guys are new here, so you guys can stay up to date with everything Rush Racing League. We do have quite a few races coming up here. It is tomorrow will be Div 6 and then Div 3 to round off the week with the OCE. And then on Friday we have F2, and then on the NAEU, so at Rush Racing NAEU on Twitch, we do have Qatar, which is, I believe, our penultimate round of the season over there in the NAEU Championship. Gamebog will be the commentator for that one. He has been a fantastic commentator to commentate with, as Aardvark sets the opening lap of the session. So we will just see how the rest of the session unfolds. Jackal has been on strong form here tonight, and we'll see who else can be on strong form here as well. So Aston Martin leading the overalls coming into round number 14. So Aston Martin in a pretty good spot at this current time, and we will see if they can keep it up, because if they can keep it up, then Aston Martin will be the overall champions. We'll see what the standings look like after Austria, but after Coda they are in a pretty good spot, but it is pretty close with McLaren, so McLaren definitely have their work cut out for them here. It is also worth noting that Aston Martin had an absolutely dominant performance in Div 2, with Watanabe absolutely crushing that race. It was, I believe, around a 20-second gap from P2 to P1 in that race. So some wild things And actually, Daz is up into provisional pole position. That's a very quick lap time there for the Sauber, as Salmons is going to go ahead and kind of round out the pack. You need to be within the top 10 to progress here in this session. So if you're outside of the top 10, you will be eliminated here at this stage of qualifying. And with 10 minutes to go, there's still a good amount of time for this entire order to be shaken here, or shaken up here quite drastically. So we're going to go ahead and ride on board with our current championship leader as he goes ahead and gets ready for a lap, or actually he just did a lap, and he tops the times a 104.6. We'll jump on board now with his teammate, who is just beginning a lap. We'll let you guys enjoy the sounds of this lap, and we'll be right back. Never mind, he hasn't validated, so we're going to go ahead and hold off on that. We'll do the same with Nishka for his lap, so we'll let you enjoy the sights and sounds from the Williams car, and now we'll officially be right back. And it is also come to my attention that Nishka is also invalidated. That's the tricky thing about this track. It's just, it's a tough one because track limits are so prominent here, especially through turns 9 and 10. It's just a really difficult track in that regard. So I'm not surprised that we were seeing these kind of track limit violations, but still a decent amount of time to go ahead and get those improved lap times. I think you're honestly going to be, you're definitely going to be want to be in the 104s. I think if you have a 105, you're probably not going to survive this session. So you probably want to be at a 105, or not a 105. You want to be probably at a, actually, you might be able to get away with a 105. Actually, a 105 didn't make it through last session, so I think you're going to probably still want to be like a 104.9 is probably going to be your benchmark time. We'll go ahead and try to get Donut invited. We're going to go ahead and take a quick interruption. Unfortunately, normally this would be the co-com, but unfortunately, I am the only one here. So I do apologize for interrupting the broadcast for that, but we're just gonna have to go ahead and give it a go as we actually spectate his Ferrari teammate going ahead and making his way through the track, as NDNV is gonna go ahead and continue onwards. We'll see if he can go ahead and improve. He is not. He's gonna come straight into the pits. And now it looks like everybody's just kind of into the pits, except for Garrido. And hello, SJ, and hello to everybody else in chat, wherever you may be joining us from. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic time of things. And hopefully you guys are enjoying your day here so far, whether it's early in the morning like it is here in, well, it's not really sunny because the sun isn't out yet at this time of morning here. 4 a.m. here in southern Florida. We are, I believe it's right about 8 o'clock or 8 p.m. Australian time, Wherever you may be watching from, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, we are so glad to have you here at Rush Racing League. If it is your first time, don't make it your last. Go ahead and hit that follow button so you're going to stay up to date with everything Rush Racing League. Still a good amount of racing to come up here this week. We have Div 6 tomorrow, Div 3 on Wednesday, and then we have the reserve program, F2, and NAEU. So pretty much the next couple of days we'll have some very action-packed racing. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So for Div 6 and Div 3, we'll be back here at the Red Bull Ring. And then for the reserve program, we'll be heading to the land down under, the home track of Rush Racing League. We're heading to Melbourne Albert Park. It's a very tricky street circuit, but it's a very fun one. It's one that a lot of drivers really do enjoy. And then for F2, we head... Actually, I just looked at it a few moments ago, but we are going to be heading to a track that I honestly do like quite a bit. It should be a lot of fun, especially in the F2 cars, where it's a little bit of a different type of car. We're heading to Abu Dhabi. It's a track that I like in the F2 car. It's in the F1 car, it's kind of... I mean, it's still a decent track, but... And then for NAEU, we'll be heading to another Middle Eastern track, and we'll be heading to Qatar. So, a lot of fun racing coming up for you guys. Be sure to go drop a follow if you are new here, and you'll be able to witness all that action. Aside from the NAEU race, that will be on our Rush NAEU channel. So, go ahead and check both out. Both have some quality races, and also check us out on YouTube, because we do post all of our race VODs after each and every single race. So, someone I can personally recommend, Div 2, Coda was also a really good one. Also, you can check out any of our Austrian races, because those have been pretty banger, as well as Nishka finally gets that good time in. He'll jump up into P5, and it is 9 a.m. in the UK. So yeah, time zones are a very fun thing. It's very interesting. What is also very interesting is that the reserve drivers here are having a fantastic time of things. Jackal was pretty much on top of the previous session, and he's reserving up from Div 6. We kind of talked about how the Div 6 leader was ahead of the Div 5 leader in Q1, and now we have a driver who actually made his debut not too long ago in Liam. He's been a pretty good driver in Div 6. He joined partway through the season, so his stats might not exactly show that, well, he's at the bottom of the standings, I believe, in Div 6, so that may not inspire a lot of confidence, but considering that his first official round was actually, I think, just last week last week in Coda, so he hasn't had a lot of races here, but he has done pretty good in the races he has been around, and he's so far putting in a pretty good result. The only reserve driver to have been eliminated this far has been Paul and Hell. He was eliminated in Q1. All the other reserves are still active in the session, but not for long. I mean, unless they all make it through, because I think the only reserve in the drop zone at the moment is Donut Gorilla, so maybe we might see everybody else make it to Q3, but once again, we'll just kind of have to see how this one plays out. Well, Dutch Verstappen currently on the lap right now. I think his time might be safe, but yeah, you really need to be in those 104s if you want any chance of making it to Q3 to be part of our top 10 shootout for the final 10 grid slots in this race. So, once again, I mean, big shocks can happen. We have seen it here before in Rush Racing League. We'll see if we get any here as, Dutch Verstappen does invalidate coming across the line there. We'll jump aboard with the Haas driver of Kumar, as the Haas drivers are both in the drop zone here. Although this is kind of what they did in Q1 earlier. They're both pretty much well in the drop zone, and then they both managed to just squeak it on out. just in the final moments of the session. So we'll see if history is going to repeat itself there. As Kumar is going to go to come around turns 9 and 10, getting right up on the edge of track limits. He'll come across the line. It is top of the times for Kumar. And that's exactly what the Haas driver needed. So we'll see who else can go ahead and make some improvements here. Because right now, there's a lot of drivers who are still kind of in the danger zone here. As we'll see, J2Z I think is about to cross the line. Actually, that might have been Jackal. And the second Haas of Symphonic goes ahead and jumps up into P5. He might be safe as J2Z is still in the drop zone here. So both Ferraris in the drop zone. Jackal tops the times. The Div 6 championship leader topping the times yet again here. And this is going to be very, very interesting. Quiet Cake is out. He will not be progressing to the next session, as there's a few drivers still currently on the track at the moment. Donut Gorilla, Donut and Drift HSK, the last two reserves here that are in the drop zone. We'll see if HSK can go ahead and get a move here. If he can get a move, actually him and Donut want to get a move into Q3. Donut's going to come across the line. He'll jump up in a second. He'll be safe. HSK also jumping up. But J2Z is out. So what about Nishka? Nishka's the last driver who could get himself safe. Is he going to do it? He does! And he knocks out Symphonic. And so we have lost Symphonic. Dutch Verstappen. We were talking about shocks. Dutch Verstappen, championship leader. Somebody who we talked about potentially getting his championship sealed off around the time of the Spanish Grand Prix in 2 weeks' time. He loses it at the second hurdle. He is out in Q2. The Division 5 championship leader has been eliminated by the Div 6 championship leader. We are in unprecedented times here. Unprecedented times here in Div 5. And so we have actually, I think we didn't lose any other reserves, I don't believe. So I'm going to double check that, because I think every reserve except one has made it to the final stage of qualifying. So yeah, every reserve has made it to Q3 except for Paul and Hell, which is really interesting. So going ahead and just walking through the drivers that we have lost. Symphonic, Division 5 championship leader Dutch Verstappen out in Q2, followed by Daz, Quiet Cake, and J2Z rounding out. So both Mercedes out at the second hurdle. We lost a McLaren, the second Sauber, and one of the Haas's. So interestingly enough, we do have some drivers, or some teams with both drivers making it to Q3. One of which is Williams, who have had a pretty good showing here. Liam, who has really not done a lot of races like we talked about earlier on, who I think this is probably his Div 5 debut. He's been in Div 6 racing for Williams, and now he's back, and it is both Williams and both Ferraris and both Red Bulls. So both Ferraris, both Red Bulls, both Williams are in, and then it is HSK, Aardvark, Kumar, and Jackal rounding out our top 10 here. But which order will this top 10 be in? We'll just have to find out. Jackal has been on really good form here, and I mean, he may not get promoted this season, but next season Jackal is 100% going to be up in Div 5. I can already kind of call it. So we do have some cars going out right now. It is Garrido who will be really looking to make some inroads here. So because his main championship rival is out in Q2, so Greedo can really start trying to at least hold on to the little bit of championship hope that he can still muster up. But I mean, it's not over till it's over. We still got 4 rounds to go after this. We go to Australia, and then we go to Spain, Canada, and China for the season finale. So this championship, this championship could honestly be just about wrapped up, or it could have been just about wrapped up here, probably by Australia. But I mean, we've seen some strong drives here in Rush. A P12 to P1 isn't unheard of, but it is going to be a tricky one, especially with the driver P2 making it to that to the final qualifying session here. So, speaking of that aforementioned driver, we're going to go ahead and ride on board with Greedo as he goes ahead and goes through the lap. And he's going to go ahead and give it all he's got here. As you see, Greedo is now making his way through turn number 3. And he's going to go ahead and just continue on now, setting a purple sector. He is the first car out on track, so that isn't a surprise, but nevertheless, he has been pretty solid here. The Red Bull team has been doing pretty well at their home track, but Jackal has just been on top of the tables. And he's just been doing really good, which is honestly it's a pleasant surprise seeing somebody just jump up from, I mean, we have a few Div 6 drivers that are doing extremely well here. Jackal, Donut, Liam, all drivers doing very well here to go ahead and put in some pretty good performances here in Div 5 qualifying, as Greedo sets the benchmark time of a 105.2. That'll be the benchmark time to be. We'll see if his teammate can get close. Going a bit wide there coming into turn number 10. And he will be just under a second behind. Once again, these are banker laps, and honestly, these are probably on a scrubbed set of tires. So these probably aren't the grippiest soft tires that they have available. Kumar will go ahead and jump up into P2 about 7/10 behind. Yeah, right about 7.5 tenths behind. We'll see about Liam. One of 2 cars yet to set a lap time here. Actually, one of 2 cars yet to set a lap time that are actively on laps at the moment. As Liam is making his way through turns 9 and 10. Drift HSK jumping up to a 104.7. So the Aston Martin having a pretty good shot. And Liam going in and putting up nearly 4 tenths above that. Very good stuff there from the Williams. Provisional pole for Liam here, but there's still some very quick contenders yet to set a lap time here who are currently on their out laps. Jackal's just wrapped up his out lap, and now he's going to go ahead and go onto his full lap. And he's going to continue on. He's going to go ahead and try to push on to see if he can make it 3 for 3 here. He tops Q1, he tops Q2. He's looking to top Q3 and get pole position here in Div 5. And the crazy thing is that Jackal's main division actually races tomorrow. So he'll likely be in the Div 6 race tomorrow. And that'll be a really fun one. Seeing some interesting discussion in chat. Some stuff I won't read on stream, but it's always fun reading you guys in Twitch chat. You guys, if all allows, you guys definitely keep things interesting. You guys are always fun to kind of watch as Jackal tops the times with a 104.2. And I mean, if this is a banker lap, he might be on a fresh set of soft tires, but we'll see. He might actually be able to crack the 103s, which would be absolutely crazy. But yeah, I mean, we always thank our sponsors. We love our sponsors, but we love you guys in chat as well. You guys are always honestly pretty hilarious half the time, at minimum, usually more than just half, but you guys are a lot of fun. Love seeing the banter that you guys have in chat. Also some good information too. Some information that maybe sometimes you guys as engineers might have that us here really don't. So it's always fun to see what you guys are chatting about, and we will see. We will see how this works. Actually, prediction request, and we can probably get a prediction in. You know what? I think that sounds like a mighty fine idea there. We'll go ahead and get a prediction in. And then while we do that, we're going to go ahead and get onto an onboard lap. Let's see, who can we get on an onboard lap with? We'll hop on board with one of the Red Bull reserves as he's going to go ahead and begin his flying lap. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and get a prediction in, so stay tuned. Alright, so that was an onboard lap with T Salmons here, and we're going to go ahead and get this poll up here as soon as possible. So, we'll see here. We're going to go ahead and put we'll put 3 names here, and then we'll go ahead and have an option for other as well, because anything can happen here in Rush Racing League. So, we have the 3 names I'm looking at here. I'm looking at Jackal. I think Liam's got a pretty good shot. But I'm also going to say the driver who's currently P2 in this championship. I'm also going to say it is potentially going to be Greedo. So this poll, you got to act fast because this poll is up for about 30 seconds. And here we go. Or sorry, the prediction is out in chat. So you guys do have about 30 seconds to go ahead and get your votes in. So Jackal is looking like the predominant favorite here. We'll see. He's got a pretty good time. Kumar's coming out of the pits, so we'll see some. Got to get in fast. Got to get in furious. Alright, so we do have quite a few drivers going ahead, and actually, so we probably could have done the poll for about a minute, but as it sits right now, 73% of you guys are saying that Jackal is going to get a poll here. Nobody has voted on Greedo or Liam, and then 27% have said other. So, it'll be interesting. So, I guess RIP to, if Liam or Greedo gets it, then I guess RIP to all those channel points. I think they'll just kind of get dispersed. So we'll just gotta see how things gonna go. Everybody is gonna come out for their out lap now. It is gonna be fast and furious here on track. We'll go ahead and see some drivers going ahead and trying to make some good positions here. They're gonna try to make some moves up this timing table as Kumar is gonna go ahead and begin a lap now. We'll ride on board with the Haas driver, who is currently in P9, 1.7 seconds away from Jackal's current benchmark time. Gonna fire up the DRS, and he's gonna go ahead and continue on down the straight, as Liam is currently on a lap as well. So there's a Red Bull stopped. It is Garrido who is stopped. He might have had a bit of he might have just been waiting to go ahead and try to get a slipstream or try to get a tow off of somebody, because the tow can be pretty strong here. Liam has invalidated his lap, so we'll go back to Kumar here. And now they're going to go ahead and go through turns number 9 and 10. 20 seconds left on the clock. A bit snappy coming through turn 10. Is he going to improve? He'll improve the 4th. And this is really coming down to the wire. Nishka is going at about he's on his first lap. So we'll see. We'll jump on board with the current provisional pole sitter of Jackal. Is Jackal going to go ahead and get pole position here? We'll see how he looks. He's got just under a tenth now ahead of Liam. NDNV is done. It says a purple sector, but the timing table also said that he was down on his time, so we will see. He's coming through the last corners now. Is he going to improve? He will not improve. So it is free game. Salmons into provisional pole. And oh my, we might be seeing something extraordinary here. Aardvark's coming up in the third. What about Liam? Is Liam going to go ahead and take pole here? He's coming through the last couple of corners. Donut will actually get ahead. Greedo will get ahead. Is Liam going to get pole? He'll get 4th. So Salmons will take pole position here in the Red Bull. It is attack over the reserve drivers here tonight. Salmon's reserving in for Red Bull, and he gets pole at the Red Bull ring. And the crowd will certainly love that one. Just going to go to wait for everything to get confirmed. But if you voted on if you're a part of that 27% that didn't vote on Jackal, Liam, or Greedo, then congratulations. You got a good amount of channel points heading your way. So that is going to be it here in qualifying. So our top 10 are T Salmon, 6,000ths of a second ahead of Donut Gorilla. And then it is Greedo, Liam, Jackal, Aardvark, HSK, NDNV, Nishka, and Kumar rounding out our field here. So congratulations to the winners of the prediction. And it's a really interesting session because our championship leader's down in 12th. And the reserve drivers have seemingly taken over here. So a lot of fun chats here in the Twitch chat, as that's the thing about channel points is sometimes you just lose out on the gambling, but hey, at least this doesn't really cost you real money. I think the most I've lost on a prediction, I think I lost like 10K at one point on a prediction on a race I was actively commentating. I couldn't remember. I think it was maybe last season. But it happens to the best of us. We're going to actually go ahead and while we get this, we're going to get J2Z back invited. Because he did get disconnected. We'll see if we can get him here quickly. There he is. An invite has been sent to J2Z, and just in the nick of time, we're about to go racing here. And it is lights out, and away we go here. In Div 5, Donut Gorilla's already jumped up to the lead. It's a terrible start for Salmons. Car's going wide. Greedo's up in the second. Positions are being swapped around here at the get-go. J2Z's falling way down the order. And there's a Mercedes going wide, and it is a bit hectic here. And then there's contact between the Red Bull and the Williams. Liam and Salmon's getting into a bit of a scuffle. Jackal's down in the 5th. Liam's up in the 3rd. Salmon's trying to go ahead and have an answer back. There's cautions in the backfield. I think J2Z, if he hasn't been able to rejoin the session yet, I think his AI might have had a bit of a scuffle there. And just taking a look here, and there's action happening all over this field. And it looks like Aardvark's trying to go ahead and get some moves here. He's trying to get one on the Salmons, who's had a really rough start. Yeah, that is just a bit of a rough start there for the Red Bull. And Liam is going to go ahead and he's in a pretty good spot. Donut has had probably the best start possible. So taking a look at the tires, everybody but Kumar, Patrick, and Kiwi are all on the hard tires at the moment. Or on the medium, sorry. And so it's a predominantly medium tire running field. As they're going to go ahead and continue on here with Greedo. I mean, he's in a pretty good spot. Dutch Verstappen's down in 13th, which is his championship rival here. He's going to go ahead and give it a go and try to go ahead and make the move here. They've both already broken DRS away from Liam, so Liam is soon going to be under pressure from the other Red Bull of Salmons, as things are getting pretty tight here in the opening laps. And we are seeing some excellent driving. We're going to go ahead and jump on board with Minmay, as we do have an onboard lap request. And we'll do the actual onboard lap once we go ahead and come across the line. And Minmay is going to go ahead, who's actually had a pretty decent start, all things considered. So he's going to go ahead and get on going here with his lap. He's going to try to chase down current championship lead Dutch Verstappen, who hasn't had the greatest of times here at the Red Bull Ring. He's going to go ahead and close in the gap. With the benefit of DRS, he'll get DRS yet again here. So he's going to go ahead and it's going to activate. And he's going to go ahead and try to close in the gaps. And we will see. He's not been able to close in the gap too much here. Because, Dutch Verstappen doesn't quite have DRS, but it's also early stages. And Minmay won't likely be burning up a lot of battery here at this stage of the race. And so he's making his way through, coming up to turns 9 and 10 here. Basically, if there's a track limit violation, it's probably going to be one of these corners that has been received at. And he's going to have a good run of things here. And he is going to go ahead and complete the lap. So, pretty much his strategy was just trying to close in the gap to Dutch Verstappen there, and I think he did a decent-ish job. But here we go, we have some battling here. Liam and Aardvark going in and doing battle here. It is the Alpine and the Williams going in and fighting it out. And remember, there's only 1 point separating Alpine and Ferrari in the Constructors Championship for P2 coming into today. So Donut is doing a very good job. NDNV also had a Patrick, so I think this is going to put Ferrari in second place in the Constructors Championship here, as Liam gets a tad bit wide, using a little bit of the gravel there. As the Liam is going to go ahead and continue on. Donut is actually getting really close to the back now. of Greedo. He was just about within a tenth of a second there for a little bit. And he's going to have the DRS. Him and Greedo are going to go ahead and do battle here. He won't get the move done this time, but the next DRS zone should be pretty much a slam dunk pass. And Salmons gets a 3-second time penalty. And look at this, the Red Bull's trying to force him wide. Donut Gorilla into Ferrari, trying to give the Tifosi something to smile about. And they're going to do battle here at the Red Bull ring. Greedo's got the DRS though, but it looks like it's not even going to matter. It looks like they're still going to go side by side coming into turn 4. And Donut Gorilla's going to try to hang it around the outside. And we'll see if he can put the sprinkles on top of that donut to seal the pass and seal the overtake. Nope, he will not. Donut Gorilla is not going to get the dunk onto Greedo. And he will still stay in P2, but these guys have already almost broken slipstream from Aardvark here. And Donut gets really close through this sector. And now he's going to have DRS here yet again. But man, this has been a spicy round of things. As we'll try to get J2Z another quick invite as this battle is going on. We'll try to get this one as quick as possible because we don't want to miss any of the action because an overtake is likely here at this stage. So here we go. J2Z has been sent an invite and just before turn number 3. And look at this. While we were getting the invite sorted, Aardvark came knocking. He wants some donuts. He wants to go ahead and get Pat's donut here. And remember, 1 point is all that separates Ferrari and Alpine. And actually right now at this stage, Alpine actually might just barely get the jump because Indian V is into the pits. Might have had some front wing damage he had to get replaced there. So we'll take a look at the tires here yet again. So he's going to go on a set of hards and try to run to the end of the race. Yeah, so, and also just to kind of clarify the lead comp thing, I am lead and co-com essentially for today, so we've had to we had to kind of improvise here on the day, but, and yeah, Aardvark is pretty much right into the battle. Liam also isn't too far off. Jackal is going to be looking to try to make some inroads here. There's going to be a shake for position. Look at Liam trying to send it from all the way back. Aardvark touches Donut, and Liam, with the late send, is going to get the move done on the Aardvark. The Div 6 driver is making massive inroads here. As Aardvark will get the retake, though. But man, this has been a very intense one. I mean, yeah, this is pretty much a 5-way battle for first here, essentially. So all these positions are pretty much just fair game at this point. Donut trying to get a move done into turn 9. That's an optimistic one if I've ever seen it. That puts him right in danger of Aardvark here. Kiwi gets a penalty, so he'll join the penalty club. But man, I mean, Greedo is doing a very good job here of just kind of maintaining that gap. Nishka will get the take on to HSK as we go ahead and make our way down this first DRS zone here. Aardvark is going to close the gap. We already seen the donut going on the defensive, and Aardvark getting very aggressive on his own right. He tried to shake for a move. We saw that Alpine kind of have a bit of a fishtail moment there. So we will see. Gonna go try to send it around the outside, the Alpine! Getting very, very aggressive here, trying to send one around the outside of Donut Gorilla. Greedo has broken DRS range from Donut. And now P2 is gonna be fair game. Aardvark in a really good spot here to potentially close in this gap to Donut. As Donut has made it back within DRS range, crucially just before the detection point. The detection point is right in between turns 9 and 10 there. It's kind of hard to see, but you can see it now. It's like a little dot. A little dot there as they go through the shortest DRS zone on the track. And now they're going to go onto a longer DRS zone as Donut Gorilla is going to try to go to close in the gap. And we'll see. Liam is going for the undercut here. And speaking of cuts, Dona Gorilla trying to cut around the outside there. Very late on the brakes for the Ferrari. Trying to go ahead and give the Tifosi something to smile about here. And I mean, this is just cinematic racing here at the Red Bull Ring. I mean, that's why the Red Bull Ring is probably one of the most enjoyable tracks on the calendar. Honestly, it's such a good track. It always provides really good action. We had a fantastic night in Div 2 just the night before, and now here in Div 5 we are having a beautiful run of things, as now Greedo has really broken DRS, and now a lot of these drivers are going to go ahead and get off of this medium and jump onto the hard tire. Greedo is still going to go out another lap, so he's going to try to go long here on this stint. Interesting that we're seeing so many drivers pitting in so soon for this. I honestly was expecting the mediums to probably last. I mean, we were seeing, well, we didn't really see any slicks last time around because it was wet in Div 2, but I was thinking the mediums could probably maybe go to, in the like kind of like pushing it, they could probably go to 14, I would think. They would be pretty much probably in the 60s on tire, but they could probably go that far. As Liam gets a 3-second time penalty for track limit violations, as now we turn our attention to the two Haas's going ahead and doing a little bit of battle here, as the two teammates are going to try to close in the gap now. They're going to try to close up to HSK here, as Patrick is just out of DRS range. So two of the drivers with penalties here in P11 and P10 of Liam and Salmons. Salmons at pole position, but his race has been very rough here at Red Bull's home track. As we do see Greedo into the pits now, so Nishka will inherit the lead of the race. As we do see some drivers going and making moves here. Most of the new drivers making pits, and a lot of guys have jumped up onto the hard tires in the very early stages of the race. So Dona Gorilla is relatively into pretty good air at the moment, as Symphonic is going to go to try to close the gap to Drift HSK. He's going to go to try to close in the gap, as they're both trying to close the gap to Nishka. They're trying to go a bit longer on the set of mediums, and Kumar, actually one of the drivers who has started on the hard tire, and he has continued. So the guys who are running on the hard are going to definitely go long here. Probably, I would say probably about lap 16 is probably when we're going to see these guys come into the pits for that set of mediums. Maybe even in the 20s, I'd say, possibly. So we'll just kind of see. Unless some of these guys might be opting for a two-stop here as Donut goes ahead and gets on through, but it's because Kiwi's coming into the pits. The net race leader is going to continue to go ahead and get in some good laps. He's going to go ahead and push in the Ferrari, and yeah, like kind of like the chat has mentioned, that track limit violations are going to be something you really got to watch out for, because track limit violations are crucial. As I was just about to talk about it, we saw another one come on through. We're just about a third of the way through this race here, and so far we have had 4 drivers, so a fifth of the grid, getting some sort of track limit violation. We're going to go ahead and chill out and right on board with Dona Gorilla for the remainder of this lap and a little bit of the next one, and we'll be back here momentarily. Alright, we are back here, ladies and gentlemen, and look at this, back in the nick of time. As Donut Gorilla tries to get a move done on the Patrick here. He's going to try, but look at this gaggle of cars. He's going to get two. He's going to pass two cars here. Oh, he's going to pass one. He'll get the other one. And he's soon going to try to make it three in rapid succession. The Ferrari just clearing the field. And so this is going to be a fun battle here. We'll see, and Donut Gorilla is already just kind of just cut through the pack like a hot knife through butter. Absolutely shredding here in the Ferrari. I think Donut might have stolen all Ferrari's good luck and fortune from the real life Interlagos and put it here, but we have a caution, and Greedo has had a moment, it looks like. I think that was the cause of the yellow flag, but he has dropped a bit here, so Jackal gets a 3-second time penalty. So the Div 6 championship leader, who tops Q1 and Q2, has got a 3-second time pen. So that is very, very, very unfortunate there for the McLaren. But look at this. Donut Gorilla is pretty much already in the wheel tracks of Nishka. And Donut Gorilla is on fire here tonight. He has been, I mean, he pretty much jumped into the lead at the start of the race, and ever since then, he's just been an ever-present force. He's been very rapid. He was battling with Greedo a bit earlier on now, and Greedo's just kind of falling back through the pack as Nishka's on those 14-lap-old medium tires, and he's, oh, look at this! Look at Donut Gorilla! You don't see many moves through there, but don't tell Donut that, because he's got that done and dusted with a few sprinkles on top, just to go ahead and add a little bit of extra flavor as Donut Gorilla retakes the lead. He goes a bit wide there coming out of turn 9, but I think he's decent in terms of the penalties. So it'll be interesting to see how the strategy plays out for this race. I think a two-stop is likely for at least some people. Some drivers might be opting for the one-stop, but I think for a lot of the drivers who stopped on the earlier laps, like around lap 9 or so, I think it's definitely going to be a two-stop here. Because, I mean, the hard tires are practically bulletproof, but I think even they are going to struggle a bit trying to get to the end of the race. I mean, there's just about 20 laps to the end of the race, and then the lap that they're currently on, so, and I mean, that's tough for that kind of tire in this type of race. If it's like a full distance race, like what we've had a few times across the season, like the season opener in Jeddah, and also our most recent one and our last one of the season in Abu Dhabi a few weeks ago, then yeah, about 20 laps or so on the hard tires is definitely a very doable thing. But it'll be tricky. I mean, theoretically you could get the tires to the end, but it's gonna be tough. You're probably just better off getting a two-stop in there, as Bender gets a 2 or 3 second time penalty for track limit violations here. And Liam is going to try to get a move on the inside onto Jackal. The two Div 6 drivers doing battle here as Liam gets a move done onto the championship leader of Div 6. Remember, this isn't Div 6. Div 6 runs tomorrow, so these are reserve drivers reserving up a division and still fighting for podiums here. It is extraordinary stuff here in Div 5 here tonight. Absolute cinema around this track. As Patrick and ND&V get a move done, they're going to go ahead and swap the positions as Greedo is now trying to make his way back through the field. The cars in front of him have penalties, and he does not, but we will see how this one plays out. As Greedo's trying to close the gap. He wants to get past Liam and Jacko as soon as possible because he is on the freshest tires out of the three. And the Red Bull is going to go ahead and try to activate those wings. And actually, in this case, he has activated the wing. He's going to go for it. J2s to get the penalty as well. So both McLarens have penalties now at this stage of the race. Greedo trying to get a move up the inside. Jacko will keep the position. He'll keep third for now. But look at this. Look at Greedo. Nowhere to go. And there's contact just ahead. And Greedo just about gets through. He'll get onto Jackal, and he'll pass Jackal. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there as Liam is got to defend from Greedo. And Greedo just holding on. Oh, more contact between the Williams and the Red Bull and McLaren touch. And it's getting scrappy here in Sector 3. Getting a very, very scrappy. It's going to be really tough here. And I mean, now, they're, I think so Jackal's out of DRS range, or at least was out of DRS range. He'll have DRS this go around. So, but Liam has done a fantastic job keeping that podium position. But we're only on lap 19, and that's a bit of a lockup there. As Jackal is actually missing an end plate on his McLaren. So that's going to make things a little difficult here. And Greedo is going to probably smell blood in the water. He's going to try to close in the gap and try to maybe buy his time away for a move. Because he knows right now that Liam and Jackal pretty much are racing no holds barred at this point. It's like an Extreme Rules match in a WWE ring back in the late 90s. Just absolute carnage everywhere you look. Just pure competition. And we are just seeing some peak racing here in Div 5. Like we saw in Div 2 and all the divs that raced beforehand. And we still have a few divs left to go. And Greedo gets a penalty. This is crucial. So now from P3 all the way down to P6, all within penalties. And a driver that we have not talked about at all. We've been pretty quiet about Quiet Cake here. He's in a pretty good spot to really capitalize on this. Because I think at this stage he could jump up into third from here, which would be a great one for Mercedes. He does have his teammate a little bit behind. And that's a bit of a risky moment there. As Quiet Cake tries to get around. Salmon's here. He tries to get it done. And look at this. The Mercedes and the Red Bull. It's 2021 all over again. These guys are duking it out for these positions. And there is, once again, no quarter given between these drivers. They are fighting for glory here. They are trying to do everything that they can. Greedo is trying to get viable championship points to try to close in the gap to Dutch Verstappen. And there's a Sauber spun around. That is Flying Kiwi. No, that's not Flying Kiwi. That is Daz. Daz is taking a rally trip. Kiwi does get a penalty, though. So Daz has had a bit of a moment coming through. I believe that's turn 7, I think. Yeah, that's turn 7 because there's turn 8. So a bit of a moment there for the Kick Sauber. Good to know that he is okay and back on circuit. As once again the action is fast and furious here at the Red Bull Ring. These guys are really trying to give it their all here. Quiet Cake now still on the back of Salmon's trying to get a move done here before turns 6 and 7. Extraordinary stuff. He's going to get it. He's going to stick around the outside and just get the move done on the Red Bull. And man, what a position that was to take. He is now up in the top 6. And I think he's, granted barely, but he's still, I think, within range of potentially jumping up into at least near a podium position. I think a full podium is out of the reach as these drivers are going to go to make their second stop here. And a driver who has just really been on the ball here tonight, it's just been Donut Gorilla. Donut Gorilla has been in really good form here tonight, giving Ferrari something to really smile about, because the real life Brazilian Grand Prix was definitely not something to smile about for Ferrari. So Donut took what just the kind of sadness that the Tifosi might have experienced in today's real life, or I guess yesterday's real life Brazilian Grand Prix, and said, you know what? I got you guys. I'll give you guys something to smile about. And I mean, he's just been putting in a heck of a performance. I believe we'll just get one last invite going the way of Jay Tuzi as we ride on board with his teammate. We'll try to get this done as quick as possible, and then we'll jump straight back into the action. This will be the last invite I'll be able to give to Jay Tuzi, as we do see a pit stop coming on in. The invite has been sent. And here we go. Liam getting another 3-second time penalty, so it's been a bit of a rough one here. As Aardvark trying to get a move done on the mid-man, and he does. And Donut Gorilla's actually going to go ahead and make his second stop of the race. So Aardvark now is going to go ahead and try to... And actually, Aardvark is actually right behind Donut Gorilla, so the undercut from Aardvark actually did work, at least to some degree. He's able to kind of close in that distance. And ultimately, I mean, he's in DRS range now, so the Alpine has got a pretty good shot here. Greedo might try to stick it to the end, but he's likely going to make this a two-stop as well, so... We'll take a look at the positions gained here on the night, and granted, there's still a few drivers that might need to pit, but Midman's up 12 positions here as it sits right now, so... Very good stuff here from the drivers as we go ahead. We'll check in with Flying Kiwis. He's trying to close in the gap himself. He's trying to go ahead and fight here, but we are going to keep our eye on the battle for P2 at the moment, which is a net race lead. Aardvark just has the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and now he's trying to chase down. It is Alpine and Ferrari, the two teams separated by a single point in the Div 5 Constructors Championship at the moment. And these guys are really not going to play nice with each other. Donut going on the defensive, trying to go ahead and just show Aardvark the door and say, not this time. But Aardvark's got the DRS, but just not the real estate to get the move done here. He needs to try to get the move done, but... I know the quote from Ayrton Senna of, if you no longer go for a gap that exists, then you're no longer a racing driver exists. And there's some merit in that, but a good driver knows where to identify those gaps. It's something we've talked about quite a bit here at Rush. But if you're trying to go for a gap, you gotta really try to properly identify what is a gap. Because sometimes something looks like it's a gap and then you go for it and then just ruin both of you guys' races. And I mean, that's just kind of how it goes. I mean, I'm sure especially in our early days of sim racing, I'm sure we've all done that at least one or two times. I know I certainly have. But look at this. Aardvark trying to go to make it in through turn number 3. There's maybe a bit of contact, but Donut will keep the lead of the race, but Aardvark will keep the DRS. So he's going to be able to close in the gap bit by bit here and try to maybe get some more positions and try to close in the gap. Some interesting stuff kind of happening here in the midfield too, though. We'll keep an eye on that, as I think we have a pretty big gaggle of cars here just behind Salmon's. What's going to happen here? It looks like Quiet Cake's trying to get some moves here. Oh, somebody goes wide. I think that was Dutch. I think that was either Dutch or Symphonic having a bit of a moment there. So these guys are really just fighting tooth and nail. Aardvark is out of the DRS range. And we are seeing some very good battles. I honestly thought that was Donut getting a penalty there for a second, but nope. He gets a fastest lap. Midman comes into the pits. And we have less than 10 laps to go in a very, very chaotic and very, very enjoyable Austrian Grand Prix. And these guys have been excellent here this evening. It's been a lot of fun watching these guys do battle, and Aardvark is still trying to close the gap to Donut Gorilla, and they're going to continue to try. Another driver who has been really on the ball here today has been Patrick. He is up 13 positions, although I think he does need to make another pit stop. But look at this. Greedo gonna fire up the inside, and that's about as easy as you'd like it. Greedo gets the move done. He is on a fresher set of tires here. Patrick on those 10-lap old mediums, as J2Z has been able to join. And this has been an absolute battle. I mean, that's just how this whole race was. It's just been battle after battle after battle. Greedo gets another 10-second time, or definitely not 10 second, 3-second time pen there. So he's in a bit of a rough spot. He did just get fastest lap though too, so we'll see as they get around the field. Those get shuffled around due to some drivers coming on into the pits. And now we're seeing Greedo get the move done onto Liam, as Liam is on a 5-lap old set of hard tires. And man, I mean, time has really flown on by here in this race just because there's been so much going on pretty much up and down the field. I mean, we got this three-way fight as Jackal is going to go ahead and try to get a move done onto Salmon. It's reserve versus reserve here, as Symphonic has a bit of a moment there on the straights, and track limit violations for Salmons again. Looks kind of an odd place to get a pen there. I guess must have just went just right over the line in just the correct way. Now I think they are able to actually protest some of the track limit pens and maybe potentially get them removed. We'll see how that goes, as Liam now trying to fight with Greedo here, trying to get these positions and trying to go ahead and get a really strong result here. This would be, I think, his best result in Rush in general, I think. So, Symphonic gets a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pits. And it has been a tough day in the office for some of these drivers. And that 10-second pen is brutal. And unlike some of the 3-second time pens, which you could honestly contest in some cases, not exactly an option when it comes to the 10 seconds. So you're just kind of just stuck with that penalty, honestly. As we do have some battles going on up and down the field, we'll jump on board with the V-Carb of Minmay. Trying to go ahead and close in to Kumar just off the road. Himself is trying to close in to HSK, and Minmay trying to go ahead and get some rally racing here under his belt as he goes takes a trip into the gravel. And Greedo now pretty much bump drafting Nishka here like it's NASCAR, and they're going to go ahead and go through. Greedo's on the fresher tires, but Nishka doesn't have pen, so as long as Nishka stays within about 3 seconds, he's going to be in a, actually I think more than that. Yeah, he's got to stay within 6 seconds of Greedo, and he's lucky that the car behind is his teammate. So Liam could potentially give him some DRS to kind of help him stay within the realm of possibility of getting that podium here. And I mean, Nishka is a pretty new addition to Div 5. He joined in the last round at COTA after Abu Dhabi. He did fill a slot that was left by a Williams driver, and now he is up into Div 5, but he gets some pretty good performances too. I mean, he is pretty much kind of knocking on the door of a podium here, so a podium is definitely within reach for Nishka, and we'll see if he can go ahead and pull it off, because he once again needs to stay within 6 seconds of Greedo to get that done and dusted. So what I'm gonna request for you guys is who are you guys' picks for driver of the day? We're gonna go and get a poll up here in the near future, as the two Williams will swap positions, and this is gonna be good for Nishka because he can get DRS and close the gap in even more to Greedo, because Greedo's got 14 seconds to Aardvark. So that's not gonna exactly be it's gonna be a tricky time, but here's some positional changes if you guys need help with your decisions. When we got about 3 laps to go, we'll go ahead and put in the poll and see who gets driver of the day. So Nishka is currently someone I'm seeing. Nishka or Quiet Cake. Gorilla's on there. I see a lot of Quiet Cake, and yeah, I agree with the Quiet Cake suggestions because he has been really solid today. I mean, sometimes just kind of locking in and focusing on your own race and not really just stressing about anything is pretty much how you get positions. So I think in general it's been a good race for him. So Quiet Cake, Gorilla, and Nishka seem to be our top 3. So actually we'll go ahead and do that real quick. We'll go ahead and get a poll out for driver of the day. So there we go. The prediction is going to go with Jet. We're going to go ahead and give it we'll give it 3 minutes. So that should be right before the race end. That should be done. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I think all 2 drivers are very valid nominations for driver of the day. So we'll see who gets it there. Driver of the day isn't worth a point anymore. That one actually goes to the cleanest driver award, which honestly actually might be Nishka too, to be fair. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. Maybe Reckless as well for doing solo stream. Trust me, you guys. I know it's been a kind of a joking topic of myself getting involved in at least a reserve program race. You guys definitely don't want to see me drive. It's rough. Like even by controller player standards, it's a pretty rough shot. But anyways, we're about to get started with about 4 laps to go roughly around the circuit, and it is going to be fast and furious racing here as Donut Gorilla is just. I mean, Aardvark's been putting on pressure, but Donut Gorilla's just consistency and pace has just been pretty much just unmatched. Honestly, he's been pretty much unmatched throughout this entire race. I mean, it won't be a grand slam because he didn't get pole position and he hasn't led every lap. But I mean, in terms of race pace, that Ferrari has just been on another level. He has just been in a really good spot here. And we'll just see if he can keep it up. It looks like he will, but remember, if we take our minds back to Div 2 Austin, it was a battle between a Ferrari and an Alpine, battling for a podium spot. And then a last corner penalty knocked him out. So, there's still potential for that happening, especially considering that turns 9 and 10 are notorious about that. But now with about a 2-second buffer between himself and Aardvark, he really doesn't need to stress. He could just kind of just stick it out and ultimately just get it done. And now another battle that's kind of developing here. Nishka is right on the cusp here of getting that podium. He is almost 6 seconds away from Garrido. He needs to stay within. He needs to be less than 6 seconds away, but he does have a damaged end plate, so that's going to make things a little bit tricky. But if him and Liam continue to swap positions like they've done here a little bit here on the night, then that is certainly a very doable task. So we'll just kind of see how this one plays out. As Nishka is going to go ahead and try. He is just right on the cusp there. And this is the part where he can really start losing it. And this is going to be the thing to really just watch out for. As we're on the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here in Spielberg, Austria. And this is going to be a downright scrap to the end. For Nishka anyway, because he is so close to being within that 6 seconds for the podium here. Liam's right behind, and honestly, Liam just needs to get ahead and start just providing so much DRS. Although Nishka is just missing that end plate, so yeah, it's gonna be tough. And I think he is just out of it unless Greedo does get another penalty. So that's gonna be, yeah, it's just unfortunate there for Nishko. He's put on a heck of a drive today. He's been doing pretty good, but I mean sometimes you can give it your all, but just come up short. But now the driver who is on his final lap of the Grand Prix here, he really hasn't had to look in his mirror too much. He's had to fight a little bit with Greedo. He's had to fight a little bit with Aardvark. But in the end, the Tifosi might have something to smile about here soon. He is going to go ahead and give it a go. He's just got a few more corners left to go on the track. And then Donut Gorilla will get a much needed win and promote Ferrari to second place in the Constructors. While Mercedes is still the target to beat, Ferrari can at least take solace in that one. He's only got a handful of corners left to go. He's got 3 turns left to go. It has been one of the strongest drives for that Ferrari all season. He's got 1 more corner left to go. Can he hang on to it? Yes, he can. Coming across the line now. Donut Gorilla wins the Austrian Grand Prix. And Aardvark will round out P2. And Garrido will hold on to P3 here, as he is just over 6 seconds away from Nishka. And he's going to come across the line. He'll take the final spot on the podium. And what a drive it has been for these guys here in Div 5. Another beautiful race here in this division. Liam will plummet down the order. Dutch Verstappen, current championship leader, will finish in 8th behind Div 6 championship leader of Jackal, who will be doing another race tomorrow. And I also do want to point out something that has just been mentioned by SJ in chat. No retirements this race. So no retirements here at the Red Bull Ring, which is honestly pretty rare considering how chaotic this track can be and a lot of the just hard wheel-to-wheel racing we had up at the front. So we're going to go ahead and enjoy the celebrations here as we go ahead and check in on our poll results here. And it is Gorilla wins Driver of the Day. He had 86% of the vote. Only 1 person voted otherwise. So Gorilla is Driver of the Day. And what a race it was. I mean, he put on a mighty fine showing as the champagne is being sprayed around here. I mean, once again, Ferrari will certainly celebrate this one as they continue their fight against Aston Martin in the overalls. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our superlatives here. Fastest lap goes to Kumar. And then, funny enough, a fellow Patrick gets the in-game driver of the day. And then the cleanest driver does go to Paul and Hell. So that's a extra point for him. So taking a quick little speed run through our finishing results. Donut Gorilla, Aardvark, Greedo, Nishka, Quiet Cake, Jackal, HSK, Dutch Verstappen. And then we have Liam and Patrick rounding out the top 10. And then it is Salmons, Minmeh, NDNV, Kumar, Flying Kiwi, Symphonic, J Tuesday, Paul and Hell, Old Footy Bender, Daz rounding out our top 20. Or all of our 20 for that matter. But we're going to go ahead and jump straight to the interviews with our podium finishers, if we have any of them available here in the commentary booth. So we'll just see what these guys have to say, and then we'll go ahead and get ready for the next race coming up tomorrow, which is Div 6. So we're just going to go ahead and get our podium guys in here. We'll see if we can get these guys on in, and then we'll jump straight to our interviews. There we go. Now we just put the request in for some interviews. We'll see if we get our drivers in. We'll give it a few minutes if they don't come in, and then we'll go ahead and sunset the stream. But we'll go ahead and get things started with our P2 driver. All right, Aardvark, you fought to the bitter end against Donut Gorilla, but just couldn't quite get the win. How was the race here from your perspective?
Yeah, absolute disgusting qualifying. I was so far off my normal pace that I should have gotten pole, but unfortunately a bit of a messy first corner caused me to have a bad qualifying, so starting in 6th and then just picking off people with my lower set of wings, and then obviously 2 undercuts not exactly working as planned, so unfortunately I got stuck behind Donut Gorilla here, and unfortunately it was very, very rough. 2 undercuts that just didn't work out for me, so yeah, very rough.
I mean, all things considered, you did still get a podium here, and it was a close battle because coming into this week, I should say, there was 1 point between Ferrari and Alpine in the Constructors. Unfortunately, you guys have lost out on that battle, but still 4 rounds to go left in the season. We are heading to the home race of Rush Racing League next time out, and we are heading to Australia. I almost said Austria again, but we're heading to Australia. So, how confident are you in Melbourne Park in Melbourne?
Yeah, Melbourne's one of my strong tracks. Obviously, being Australian, I kind of want to win that. So yeah, I'm quite strong there, quite competitive times. I'm feeling quite confident for it. Obviously, a bit of practice will go a long way in helping me get there, so yeah.
And then the following rounds after that, we go to Spain, Canada, and China to round off the season. Are those other tracks you think you'll have some good results at, or is it just going to be more of a we'll cross that bridge when we get there kind of thing?
Yeah, mostly cross the bridge when we get there. Those tracks are not my favorite. I actually just hate them all of those ones. Spain is okay. I hate Canada, and China's okay. I've got some experience there, but just, yeah, I don't like those tracks.
All right. Well, last question before we let you go here, Aardvark. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out to tonight?
My engineer. He helped me a lot. So Mars, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And Donut Gorilla, thanks for the fighting. Despite you pulling away right at the end. Quite unfortunate on my end.
All right. Well, congratulations on the P2 there, Aardvark. And we will see you next week in Australia.
Yeah, thank you. All right, good night, guys.
Alright, so we're going to go ahead and jump down to P3, a driver who was just on the cusp. It is Garrido. How are you doing today, mate?
I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm exhausted, but that's the life of a professional athlete. So we move on.
Alright, I'll go ahead and be quick then so you can go ahead and get some rest. It was a bit of a tricky one out there for you guys today, but ultimately you did claw back and you did manage to get a podium out of it, even with the 6-second depend. So, how was it just out there on track today? Because I know for a lot of the opening laps, you were just fighting it out after your teammates' kind of poor start.
Yeah, no, I had some seriously low-level wings, and was just trying to stick out the front, and then I got undercut pretty badly, and kind of once that happened, I was like, all right, I'm just going to try and find where I fit in, and I ended up being P3, but I really thought I had more in it. I just wish I didn't get undercut as badly, and I wish I would have known how bad it would have been, or I probably would have pitted lap 8. But oh well, it's what it is.
Indeed, yeah, kind of live and learn, as the saying goes. Last two questions before we let you go. It is Australia next week, and then it is Spain, Canada, and China. How confident are you for next week, and then the subsequent weeks after that?
Next week, I am absolutely excited for. I am going to fly around that Albert Park track. I'm so keen to get some bits closer to Mr. Dutch Verstappen, the championship leader. I love Spain. I should be quick there too. I haven't done much of China on this game, and Canada. We'll see when we get there. It's not a strong suit, that's for sure.
Yeah, Spain and China have some pretty similar characteristics in terms of just the fact that they will absolutely eat through tires. I think specifically it's like the front left that actually gets eaten up too at both circuits. So it is a tricky one. But last question, because I know you're tired and ready for a bit of rest, I'm sure. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or shout out here tonight?
I'd love to give a shout out to the engineer, good old David. He's had our back all the way through there, and I appreciate T. Salmons doing a bit of the old defence there. He definitely helped me eke out away from the group behind. So cheers to those two boys.
All right, well, once again, congratulations on P3, and we'll see you next week in Australia.
Cheers.
All right, and now we're going to go ahead and talk to our race winner and driver of the day. We are here with Donuts Gorilla. Now, Donut, you and Alpine, or Ferrari and Alpine, were separated by just one singular point coming into this race, and now you guys are firmly in P2 with 4 rounds to go. How does that feel?
Pretty good. Glad I could help the Ferrari boys out, reserving in this week for them. So hopefully they can take the points and move upwards.
Indeed, yeah. I forgot that you were one of the reserves for this race, so hey, that's even more impressive.
Thank you.
So, I mean, you had a lot of battling there in the early stages of the race, so just gonna talk us through that for a bit, because I know in the early stages it was really scrappy. You had some good scraps with Greedo and later on with Aardvark, so just what was it like battling on track here today while being a reserve in a higher division?
It was good fun, can't lie. Like, in the moment, it's frustrating if you're getting dive bombed and stuff, but you move on. It's no contact. It's all's fair game. I let Garrido through at the start because I wanted to work together with him and break the DRS, but then he stopped burning his battery for the whole lap and backed me up into P3. So, unfortunately, that didn't work out for him. So, hopefully that's a lesson learned and then can move on to the next race. Battling Aardvark again. I used to be teammates with him, driving for Alpine a couple times earlier in the season, so I kind of knew how he drove, knew he'd be running the low wings for the straight, so then I kind of knew he'd be trying to make all the moves under braking. So kind of just saved my batteries for the long straights and tried to drop him in the back half of Sector 2 and Sector 3, but overall the battling was quite good.
Indeed, yeah, it was actually a lot of fun watching you guys going ahead and doing some really good battles here tonight. Austria, actually the last 2 weeks, ever since we've come back from silly season, the battles have just been absolutely electric here across all divisions, and Div 5 was no exception to that. So, last 2 questions before we let you go and enjoy your night. It is Australia next, then Spain, Canada, and China to round off the season. How confident are you coming into next week? And then, like, what are your prospects in your mind for the final 3?
I don't have the greatest pace at Australia. I probably won't be up there in qualifying like I was tonight. So we'll see how that goes. If I can make it from work, I walked in today and sat down, had 10 minutes before we went, or 15 minutes before we went green. So I did one quali lap as a warm up and jumped straight in the lobbies. So we'll see what happens. I don't mind a bit of Spain, and then Canada's just a pen fest. So we'll see what happens.
All right, last question before we let you go. Is there anyone you'd like to give a special thanks or a shout out here tonight?
The Ferrari boys for letting me reserve for him this week. Glad I could help them out with some points for the championships. I'd like and Gridos. Pleasure battling you guys again. So hopefully look forward to some more battles in the future. Hopefully we can pull away from the DRS train instead of slowing down and making it a big long one. Hey?
All right, well, once again, congratulations on the race win and the driver of the day. And we'll see you next week in Australia.
Thank you. See you.
All right, everybody, that's going to go to wrap things up here in Div 5. It has been an action-packed night where it never really seemed to slow down. There was always something happening on some part of the track, and that's exactly what we like to see, and something that's pretty common here in Rush Racing. So be sure to go drop a follow if you're brand new. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think the link is in the Twitch chat, as far as I know. All the race replays will be uploaded there. So, once again, on behalf of everybody, I want to give a special thank you to Sim Racing Center, SimLab, Pagny in Advanced Simulation, and AI369. And most importantly, I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight via Twitch and everybody who may be watching this on YouTube later on. You guys have been fantastic as always. And on behalf of everybody here at Rush Racing League, my name is Patrick Coleman, a.k.a. Rekus, and I have been your host and commentator for tonight's Grand Prix. And we'll see you guys tomorrow in Div 6. Have a good night.